Oh, hello, dear Linda.
Hello, dear Karen. Always good to be with you.
We're here talking about embracing the role of the wise elder.
Yes, it's a such an interesting role to be growing into, and I feel like that's where I am in my life. I'm growing into that role, and I'm finding it very interesting and unique. And I'd like to know how you're feeling about growing into the wise elder role.
Well, I like that word or that phrase growing into because I never thought I was going to be this old. And in reality, I still feel in so many ways
Uh-huh.
like I'm quite young.
Yes,
Like, the person I was 18 years ago is just yesterday, or the person I was 25 or 40 years ago was just yesterday.
yes,
And at the same time, I'm also I am wiser.
yeah.
Um,
We've
I'm
learned from
wiser
our
at the same
experience.
time, which I'm happy about.
Yeah, we've learned from our experiences.
We
Yes.
have definitely learned from our experiences.
Uh, yeah. And when I observe myself from my compassionate witness role, sometimes I notice that I'm sort of traveling back in time when I'm dancing by myself in my jazz shoes to 60s rock and roll on cassette tapes. And I have a good laugh at myself because I see myself spinning by the mirror as if I were 18 and my hair is now Snow White. You know?
Mhm.
So I laugh at myself and then I begin to think, it's really delightful actually because I'm really so much more, I feel so much more settled in myself and in my life, certainly than I did, back in my younger years. I feel like there are some gifts to this growing into the wise elder role that I may not have even anticipated, when I was first dancing to rock and roll before it was old time rock and roll. Yeah.
Yes, who expected the gifts? So we might have expected looking a certain way, or we might have
Mhm.
expected being a certain way.
Yeah,
Although I think those paradigms and those stereotypes are very slowly changing.
I agree. Yeah. I remember when I was first introduced, I guess it was back in my days of studying literature, that I was introduced to the concept of um, the um, the crone, and it was basically, there was the Virgin, the Mother, and the crone were three archetypes in old literature. And the crone was always pictured as, someone who was hunched over and, who was having difficulty moving. And, she wasn't a very attractive character um, in terms of even her disposition in many writings. And I love that that whole paradigm has shifted and I remember reading not too long ago one of the Sunday newspapers that Maria Shriver writes online, and she really put a new light on this. That growing um, not only in wisdom, but being able to expand our creativity and do things maybe that we didn't have the time or the energy to do because we were in caregiver roles, raising children or helping raise grandchildren or, all of that when we were younger. And now we have a little bit more breathing room that we can, take a deep dive into what does it mean to be a wise elder and what are the gifts that we have from it.
So tell me, Linda, what do you think are some of your gifts? That's the second time you said that. And I think it is important to talk about gifts, that it's not all about growing old and haggard like the crone,
Right.
but there's a harvest.
Yes, thank you. That's a great word. Yeah, the harvest is that, first of all, I am much more accepting of myself in general than I was in my younger years. I'm much less self-critical. So I think that's a gift. Um, I also find that I'm much more able to put things in perspective rather than take things personally. and to ask myself when challenging times come, what is the hidden gift? Like, what am I supposed to be learning from this experience? And how can I, add that to my little chest of growing older wisdom pieces, so to speak. And, I have grandchildren who are teenagers now. So that's added to my perspective. They're not the little people that I used to play with, in their little children's games, but they're making transitions in their lives too. And then that gives me the perspective of how have things changed from when I was a teenager, we were teenagers, until, now things are quite different. I just look at, for example, the change in technology, which didn't even exist when I was a teenager, and all the ways that things have changed. And I think, you know, I look back at what were the gifts of being born in our age decades, you know, that they, that they had gifts that are very different, I think, from some of the gifts that maybe, our children or grandchildren may experience. Not that they're, better or worse or, not as good. They're just different. And it's interesting for me to observe that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When we do our workshop retreat in
Mm,
April,
yeah.
April 12th to 14th, I
Uh-huh.
neglected to say that earlier, here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, we will be supporting participants
Mhm.
to really take a look at those gifts
Yes.
in a very particular way.
Yes. And we'll be using our favorite method, the method of psychodrama, much of which we learned from your primary trainer and one of my mentors, Zirka Moreno, who was really the mother of psychodrama.
And herself a wise elder, right? Haven't we all learned
Exactly.
so much from her?
She was the wisest elder, I think, one of the probably three wisest elders I ever knew in my whole life. And, she was definitely a generation ahead of us in terms of her age. And she was wise when I first met her when she was in her 60s, I guess, when I first met her. And, knew her until, her death in her late 90s. Um, and what a gift it was to have her as a role model, and a mentor. And I'm sure you have lots of stories to tell because she was your primary trainer in psychodrama.
Yeah, I was lucky, so very lucky to be able to study with her. Um, I was in Pennsylvania as I am now. She was in New York State, and I made that drive monthly to be
Mm-hmm.
able to study with her at Boughton Place, where
Yeah.
the original Merino stage still stands today,
Yes.
and learn from her the value of experience,
Mm-hmm.
the value of how to conduct
Mm-hmm.
a really beautiful, effective psychodrama.
Yes.
And I think the study of psychodrama in general led me to value lived experience.
Yes.
That it wasn't simply the learning out of books or the
Exactly.
memorization of facts or
Mhm.
figures or ideas or philosophies, but the lived experience of our own lives. And of
Yeah.
course, psychodrama helps to have us really play out that lived experience on
Yeah.
stage
Yes.
and be aware of it in actually ordinary life. And
Exactly.
that is a gift.
That really is a gift. And, I have found that since I do some online supervision of therapists who some are trained in psychodrama and some are not. And when they become introduced to elements of psychodrama, the folks who have not had previous experience, it's like a whole new world opens up. Like I can see it in their eyes. Their eyes start to twinkle with that, like, oh, wow, well, that's so exciting kind of an expression. And, that's one of the gifts that I find of, stepping into this role is being able to pass it on, not only to people who are, young and just starting out, but to people who have been, and who maybe themselves already are wise elders, but who have never experienced psychodrama or even known about it. And to see their faces light up and to see them come back and tell me, oh, I used such and such, that I learned, and it was so powerful, and their eyes are twinkling, and to see that in folks who have decades of experience, to see that they're still becoming, um, basically, I think it's like they have a new magic wand, if you will,
Mhm, mhm.
in
There
their,
it is, Linda.
yes, in their toolbox. They have a new magic wand.
Mhm,
So that's been one of the gifts, I think, is that, that I am at an age now, as are you, when we're both providing supervision, for folks in various eras of their own growth, personally and professionally.
yes. And
Mm.
I think for me, I'm going to echo that. For me, to work with younger therapists who are so excited. I know we're talking about elders, but to
Mm-hmm.
work with younger therapists who are so excited about their careers, who
Yes,
are so excited about all the possibilities, who are so excited about alternative therapies and alternative methods like psychodrama and sociometry and other
yes,
methods. I get so excited about that.
me too.
Their excitement feeds mine and vice versa, and it becomes a
Exactly.
really lovely circuit.
Yes,
And so to share what I know is, wow, this is so cool.
yeah,
Um, and
exactly.
of course, yes, those older, maybe not so old as I, or maybe as old as I, um, to help them discover alternative ways, that's good
Mm-hmm.
too. I
Mm-hmm.
think that I want to say, I hope that people realize that our workshop training isn't just for older people,
Right.
that some professionals, some helping professionals, and others interested in action methods will get a chance to claim their elderhood.
Mm-hmm.
And that lived experience will be valuable for them professionally as well. But you know what? I would love to have younger people attend because, well, we're all growing older. We're all
Exactly.
growing older. And I actually just had one of my supervisors say to me last month, she said, I have some older people coming to me and I don't know what to do with them. And she was a little bit cautious, thinking that she had to do something different with them or
Yeah.
that they might not like experiential methods. And I think it's important to know that we can have skills to understand the process of growing older
Yes.
and not just ideas in our head about growing older, but actually experiential skills
Yeah.
that will aid older folk
Mm-hmm.
to move forward with their lives.
I agree with that completely. And I think also what it provides the sometimes almost seemingly magical tools. A lot of people that are new to this, I know my first workshop, I thought it was magic.
Mhm.
So it provides a whole skill set, no matter what stage of life a person is in, that they learn that they can put themselves in someone else's shoes, which we call role reversal. And so if it's a younger person, they'll learn to role reverse with someone that is an older person and vice versa. And so that really expands the possibility of mutual understanding and respect
Mhm.
and the ability to play together, really.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Yes.
the ability to play
Yes.
together. Yeah, I have experienced that, in my own life with some of my, younger relatives, like my daughter and my niece and, my nephew and their little ones. It's been really fun to go back and role reverse and remember, oh, what was it like to be, early 40s or early 30s or a teenager or, you know, now I have very little people back in my life, which I love, that they're, like little toddlers, which I find to be extremely fun because they're in that mirroring stage where, they love to see us seeing them. And so since I'm so used to action from psychodrama, I just go into a pose that I know that they're doing, and then they see me doing it, see me seeing them, and then they laugh out loud and
Mhm.
they roll over because they're laughing so hard.
Mhm.
So it's brought a lot of fun into my life, being in this role of an elder and growing into it because I've had all those years of experience in different roles and know what the challenges are from decade to decade. And now I feel like I'm reaping the benefits. It's like the harvest, as you so eloquently put it. The harvest is being able to basically remember what things were like in terms of growth and feeling and challenges and all of that. And also, what do we have to look forward to still? What is awaiting us? I remember visiting Zirka in her later years when she was bedridden. She was still creating, as you well know.
Mhm.
She was writing vociferously. She was directing from her bedside, sort of short dramas right from her hospital bed. She was thinking about world problems and how they might be solved. She, even when her body gave out, she stayed in her wise elder role and she kept, giving back magic, as we would call it, magic to
I
anybody
like
who
that,
stepped
giving
into it.
back magic.
Yeah, she brought
And wouldn't that be the goal of all of us as
that.
we are older and as we interact with younger generations or any generation,
Mm-hmm.
that we have
Mm-hmm.
something to give
Exactly.
and something to give that's valuable. And
Yeah.
that's what I want this workshop to be, is
Yeah.
that no matter what age we are, we can hold that vitality
Yes.
and offer that vitality to others.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. And as Zerko used to say, and sprinkle the seeds like Johnny Appleseed all over the world.
Mhm.
You know,
Yes, I
and
remember that well.
and to make
Yeah,
the world a better place. And that's what she did, and that's what she taught us to do. Mm,
that's true.
yeah.
So we'll be sprinkling some of this magic in April, April 12th to
Mhm.
14th in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
We're offering CE credits for both Pennsylvania and Maryland. Maryland social workers, Pennsylvania for psychologists, social workers, professional counselors, and LMFTs. And we've already got several registrations. It's wonderful.
Yes.
People are interested. People are interested in this topic, and we'll be making art. We'll be making a wise elder staff, and we invite people to bring along special mementos or long sticks or both. And what else do we need to tell people about
Well, and we'll be
workshop?
bringing some things if people are traveling from a distance. We'll have some things available there for them to use for the art making and the staff creating, which is really a concrete symbol of stepping into the wise elder role.
And
Yeah.
I've been studying symbolism and tarot for many years.
Yeah.
Um, the symbolic part of the tarot, not the fortune telling part of the tarot. And, symbolically, that wand or that staff is a symbol of power.
Yes. Yes.
Kings have it, wizards have it.
Yes, exactly. And, sometimes a whole tree, I don't know if anyone can
Yes, it
see
shows
this.
up very nicely, Linda.
There we go.
There you go. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked that was in my neighborhood and taken by a dear friend of mine who was a landscape photographer. And you notice that it has many branches. It has a really solid trunk,
Mhm.
and yet it has many branches. It reaches out. in many different directions. And I feel like that is a concrete symbol of how, as we grow older, we're able to reach out in more directions based upon the experiences that we've had and that we want to share and that we're excited to share. So thank you so much for cooperating, collaborating, all the things that we enjoy doing together. Thank you for always just being a great friend, a great collaborator, a great co-leader. It's really been a wonderful journey as we've been growing into this role together.
It's always wonderful to get a chance to work with you. I'm really looking forward to it.
Me too. See you soon in Lancaster.
Yes.